Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Or maybe our internal advisors to the business owners. So I want to talk a little bit more about how a business advisor like yourself can help leadership, and specifically how you can help business owners with their exit strategy, because everybody's got to exit at some point, right? And hopefully they exit it well and they don't have to close the company on the way out. So talk to me about, how you handle that with business owners. Where do you even start?
Well, you start with the end in mind, actually. And you're right. So many business owners are not thinking very far into the future at all. If not, maybe, sometimes we're pulling out what's your 5-year plan, and that's a struggle. So to get business owners to stop and think, what is my exit, or what could that be, is, it needs its devoted time. The challenge is, like you said, it's great to have that plan, but we also have to think of the what ifs. Like there's that hit by a bus problem, right? Mm-hmm. So what is the exit? How is your business set up to continue to grow if something happens to you or happens to your key leadership? That's the leadership, especially depending on the size of the business. If your leadership team is basically the ones running the day-to-day in the company, we need to be talking about what exit means to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that a lot in my space too. So I'm an HR consultant. Many of my clients do not have HR. And, I was just doing a training this week, and it was clear that, one person in this 75-person company has to make all the answers. And I'm literally thinking, oh boy, if this person's the only one that has the authority to hire, to fire, to write somebody up, and they're also in charge of sales, and they're in charge of this, what happens if they're sick? And that actually happened this week. What happens if they're in the hospital? What happens if they do get, hit by the bus? Or hopefully a better thing, they hit the lottery and say, peace out. It's so important. Any horror stories you want to share? No names, of course.
Not horror stories like anyone hit by a bus, thank goodness. But probably one of the things that business owners aren't necessarily thinking of is we see this quite often with the smaller ones where they're a 1-person, maybe a 2-person team, and they think the business is worth all this money because they've been in the business for 30 years and they have, $2 million in revenue, or whatever the case is, but it's not worth anything to someone else because they are the sole provider of the service. And so that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is really having the business owners understand what it takes to have a business to be able to sell when you want to sell it. Now, there's all kinds of exits. You can sell to an outside person. You can sell to your key staff. You can, hand down to family. You can partner with other strategic partners. So the form of an exit can be creative, and it's not it's not cookie cutter by any means, but you have to have something that someone else wants in order to actually exit. Otherwise, you're just done working and you retire.
Right. And your business closes shop, and then your customers have to find whatever they were getting from you. They now need to find it from someone else. And that's happened. That's an exit strategy too, but it's usually not one where if you're hoping to, continue making money or providing for retirement. I was reading an article that I have pulled up here just about the pros and cons of working with consultants. And I can appreciate this because I'm a consultant as well. And you kind of mentioned it in our first episode, but it's really about the objectivity, to the organization, and saying, hey, I'm not emotionally attached to these people that I'm dealing with. Now, I don't want our listeners to think that's why we don't want to use you because you have no empathy. It's not about sympathy and empathy. It's about saying, here's the black and white facts. Yes, we're going to factor in some of your policies and your culture and your values. But in the end, if somebody that I'm even coaching in my life and the HR lady, there's sometimes in the middle of a coaching session, I might have 4 or 5 coaching sessions, and session 2, I call the owner and say, I don't want to waste your time or money because this isn't working out and this person needs to go. Have you ever had to do something like that?
Yes. And as a matter of fact, I say use me as the scapegoat if you need to. Definitely have had to make some of those, help the business owner make some of those tough decisions. And again, it's because, like you said, and we're talking about it, it's an outside perspective. But when we're working with clients, and I'm sure you're the same, we treat that business and that person as if, we are part of the team. And I treat it like I am part owner of that. It's a business partnership. So there's emotion in there, just not the same emotion that, someone who's in the day-to-day and sees them in the lunchroom is going to have. So we've definitely had to have tough conversations about staff, and we've had to have tough conversations about business partners.
Yeah, I have too. And it's always difficult, but that's why, you and I are successful at what we do, because we could put away our own emotions. Now, the other thing I just heard you say is we put away our feelings, and we also do it the other way too, where somebody's coming hard. Somebody at the company is coming down really, really hard on an employees because for some reason they don't like them personally. And I've had things that hey, this is one of your best employees. What's the problem here? And they have to really go back and check themselves and say, I don't know why I don't like them. I'm like, well, you need to figure that out, because you're going to get yourself in some serious HR hot water here with a lawsuit. But even if it's not a lawsuit, just losing a lot of credibility around the rest of your staff. And that's always an interesting conversation to have, that say, hey, the title of my book, Suck It Up, Buttercup, you might be part of the problem.
No, that never happens.
Yeah, right. It's all the time. We're human. We make mistakes, but as consultants, we have to have those hard conversations. And I really like to train people to then continue to have those hard conversations so that I go away and go help somebody else. So thank you so much for this information here. Thanks for listening, everybody, to episode 3 of our 5-part series on helping all sorts of professionals succeed by using business advisors. In our next episode, we're going to cover using business advisors to improve performance management. But on a really quick side note here, I wanted to just say, if you're looking for a quick and enlightening way to start your day, consider checking out JC's daily podcast, Interesting Things with JC. The podcast only lasts 2 to 5 minutes, and it is amazing, sometimes hilarious, other times just incredibly informative. You could find it on his website, jimconnors.net. Thanks for joining us. For a quick and enlightening way to start your day, consider checking out JC's daily podcast, Interesting Things with JC. The podcast only lasts 2 to 5 minutes, and it is amazing, sometimes hilarious, other times just incredibly informative. You could find it on his website, jimconnors.net. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.